Time for the age-old college football question that we encounter each and every September. How good is Penn State? Well, they're way better than West Virginia, that's for sure. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. We appreciate you being here. Please like the video and subscribe. Keep in mind that we are live every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's the College Football Show. All right, let's dissect Penn State. There is good. There is Penn State good, which has not been good enough to make the college football playoff, but would have made the playoff 6 out of the last 8 years with the 12-team expansion. So is Penn State that good? Probably. Are they Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia good? That remains to be seen, and we won't know that for about 6 weeks. Let's get to what we saw today and see if we get an indication going forward. Let's start with the quarterback position. Of course, much made out of Drew Allar and his performances against Ohio State and Michigan. Well, of course, we cannot compare West Virginia's defense against 2 of the top 5 defenses in the country. West Virginia is a decent football team. Penn State won this game in a similar fashion to where they were comfortable this season. They were pretty much comfortable in Happy Valley. Drew Allar had to throw it more last year because West Virginia was stingier against the run, and Allar had a big day with 325 yards passing against this West Virginia defense, but he was much more economical based on the play calling. Drew Allar looked the part. He looked feisty. He looked in command. He looked confident. He looked in control. He looked fiery when he had to be fiery. But again, he looked like a poised leader. He even looked athletic at times, and as they said during the broadcast, sneaky athletic at times is what Joel Klatt said. He is a 5-star quarterback, and there's a reason he is the starting quarterback at Penn State. 25 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of the most quoted statistics from last season, which meant something, but it meant that he was probably too conservative, but he did take care of the football, did not perform in the 2 big games of the season. All right, in this one, he performed. Not out of the gate, though. He missed a wide open Amari Evans early in the game, and really both offenses sputtered the first 3 or 4 drives. There were a lot of issues with snaps, especially on the West Virginia side. Drew Allar then kicked it into gear, and he delivered. 11 of 16 for 216, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And he hit the downfield play to Harrison Wallace for the touchdown to put Penn State up 6-0. They went for a strange 2-point conversion. Why? I don't know. It obviously didn't end up mattering. I thought that was a stupid move at the time, but 6-0 Penn State. And once Allar drilled that pass downfield in the seam and right on the face mask of Evans, he seemed to pick it up from there. And after that, the Penn State offense was in rhythm. They were consistently driving 75 yards for touchdowns after that for the rest of the second quarter into the third quarter. Then, of course, we got hit with the delay about midway through the third quarter. So these 2 teams had to go to the locker room because of weather activity for a couple hours. Penn State was rolling at that point 20-6. But it didn't seem to matter, even though West Virginia could have used that as a time to regroup and get back in the ball game. So let's start with the Penn State offense, because this is the story of this game, because the Penn State defense is a bit of a given. I did not expect it to be as good as last season's defense. I'm on record as saying that the entire offseason, that this is going to be one of the 10 best defenses in the nation, but I believed that Penn State defense from last year, with all the NFL players that they lost, was probably the most athletic defense in college football in 2023. But this one's a really good one for sure. Just ask Garrett Green. Back to the offense, of course, we've got the offensive coordinator coming in from Kansas. Maybe he makes a difference. Listen to these explosive plays out of Penn State. So even when Penn State was not playing Ohio State and Michigan last year, the offense was good and effective and put up points, but not explosive. Never explosive. Now they're showing some wide receiver potential with Harrison Wallace. We mentioned Evans, Julian Fleming. Tyler Warren at tight end is one of the best tight ends in the Big Ten. They racked up 16 plays of over 10 yards, 5 of them plus 20 yards. So Drew Allar looked great. The offensive line looked spectacular. They were opening up running lanes for both backs, especially Nick Singleton, who mentioned during the game or leading into the game that, hey, he understands that Singleton, Katron Allen, they hit the Big Ten 2 years ago as the most dynamic freshman combination of running backs in the nation, and they lit it up for almost 1,000 yards apiece. They took a big step back last year, and that wasn't just the offensive line not blocking. They definitely were not the backs last year for whatever reason. Maybe they were nicked up with injuries. Who knows? From their 2022 form as a combo. But Nick Singleton showed up, and he predicted that they would show up this year. 13 carries for $114, and he had some long, explosive runs. And again, the offensive line for Penn State supposed to be a highly improved unit, and they looked the part. Let's understand that Penn State was playing maybe a top 30 to 35 team on this day. This was a good assignment for Penn State to go in and dominate. There's a ton of teams across college football that are good teams that would go into Morgantown and not be dominating this game as much as Penn State did. They were on track for 500 yards total offense. I don't know where they finished, but this was from an offensive standpoint based on what the issues were last season with Allar, with the offensive line, with the backs, with the wide receivers not getting separation downfield. This was a near A-plus effort. If they would have come out of the gate like they did from about drive number 3 on, you'd have to say it's basically an A-plus effort. I know they only put up 34 points, but if you saw it, you saw the efficiency drive after drive after drive after drive. They were consistent. The defense, I tell you, every time West Virginia had a third or fourth and inches, forget it. They couldn't get the first down, and that's with one of the best running quarterbacks, Garrett Green, in college football. And for the one time that the officials gave West Virginia the first down on a fourth and inches, it was one of the worst ball spots I've ever seen in watching a million hours of college football. It was pathetic, and even after they reviewed the play, they still got it wrong. Garrett Green was about a full yard short of the first down, and that gave up a field goal out of the scoring by West Virginia on this day. They only scored 1 touchdown, kicked 2 field goals. That was a gift of a field goal from the officials because Penn State stopped West Virginia at the 29-yard line. The Penn State secondary played lights out. The receivers couldn't get free for the most part. Of course, West Virginia hit some plays downfield, especially on its scoring drive. In terms of looking forward to the future in regards to what Penn State, the next 2 weeks, they're in good shape. They'll win the non-conference game starting with Bowling Green, of course. September 28th, the date against Illinois, they should win that game. The first real challenge should be at USC on October 12th. No Oregon, Michigan, Iowa on the schedule. It sets up as though Penn State could still not be in Ohio State's class and go 11-1, or even trip up and go 10-2 and go to the playoff. Will they make a deep playoff run? We're sitting here on August 31st trying to make that projection. I don't think that this team necessarily has it to that extent, but I do think that this is one of the roughly fringe top 10 teams in the nation. For West Virginia, they still have hope. They played an excellent football team that recruits way beyond them, that's faster, bigger, stronger, has more NFL players, and was just too stout at the line of scrimmage, too fast, too explosive on the edges, both in regards to running back play especially, and then also their secondary and clamping down the wideouts and really getting into the running lanes. But West Virginia's got a nice stable of running backs, good offensive line, Garrett Green running, and hopefully improving on 53% completion percentage from last year. Don't be surprised if West Virginia makes some noise in the Big 12, but certainly not on the national scale. My thoughts on Penn State, we'll just have to wait and see, but the indications were all good today because Morgantown is a difficult place to play, and Penn State was definitely up to the challenge in every phase of the game. They did miss a field goal late, and that's expected to possibly be an issue for Penn State. Nittany Lions, factor in the Big Ten. Do you think so? On the national scene, college football playoff, win or 2 in the playoff? Leave your comments down below right here at the Voice of College Football. Keep in mind, again, the College Football Show every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. My rants, great guests. We take your calls right here at the Voice of College Football.